July 26, 2015, 6:08 p.m. A panicked snowman. One call comes in from an apartment complex in Santa Cruz, California. A young girl is missing, and her mother is beside herself. She had last been seen riding on her scooter around the complex, and she had not been seen since just after 5 p.m. Her mother gave the officers the all-important description: 8 years old, 4 foot tall, about $48, brown hair, wearing a black helmet and a purple dress. Last seen riding a little white scooter. Name: Maddy Middleton. It was now all hands on deck to find the 8-year-old who had seemingly disappeared in the space of a few minutes. 8-year-old Maddy Middleton, known as Maddie, lived with her mother, Laura. She was an only child, and her mother and father, Michael, who are a tight trio. The family lived in the Tannery Arts Center apartment complex, a really unique campus that provides affordable living for families and artists, a place they can live and create art together in their little community. Everyone in the complex was close. They would all create things and spend time together. All the children would hang out in the courtyard and play games. For a young girl that loved all things creative, it was the perfect place for her to grow up. She would often paint little toy animals and create plays and stories with them. She loved to sing, dance, and draw. Her mother, Laura, said Maddie was such a generous child, always the first to try and help someone or stand up for someone that was on their own or needed support. She was bright, intuitive, and curious, never without a smile on her face. Everyone in the apartment complex knew her as Chatty Maddie, and she would talk to anyone and everyone, always making friends and entertaining people. July 26th was a Sunday. Maddie was enjoying the last part of her weekend. Her friend took him over and was now playing a board game with her mom, Laura. Maddie was waiting for them to finish and decided she was going to play with her new present while they wrapped up the game. She had just got a scooter a few days before and couldn't wait to take it around the courtyard before it got dark. At 4 p.m., she was seen by several neighbors. She was also spotted a few times after this, just riding around and having fun. Occasionally, she stopped to talk to a few of the other children, but was happy to be by herself. At 5:07 p.m., she was seen going past the mailboxes. This was the last time anyone saw Maddie. After this, she vanished. Her mother, Laura, thought she might have met another friend and started going door to door. There were around 100 apartments in the 8-acre complex, but with each person that answered, saying they hadn't seen her. The panic was mounting. She was nowhere. Officers rapidly descended on the apartments and got to work without hesitation. Her family said that although Maddie was confident she knew not to wander off by herself, go too far, or talk to people that she didn't know. So detectives knew her disappearance was out of character. Despite this, an Amber Alert was not issued because they said the case did not meet certain criteria. An Amber Alert is an emergency alert system that sends out information about an endangered, missing, or abducted child.
My name's Kirby.
I know Kirby.
Phil.
Just look there. Okay, what can you tell us about what she was doing out here?
She was riding her brand new scooter. It's a white Razor. She had a black helmet on, she was wearing a purple dress, and she was just happy as could be riding around.
You know, did you check with friends to see if she was with them?
Absolutely. We've searched the entire tannery, door to door. Officers have gone door to door, every loft. We've looked at cameras. We've had search parties all night long.
Is there anyone else? Is there another friend, an adult friend she might have befriended or anything like that?
Not that I can think of at all.
Has she ever done anything?
Nothing. Never. Never. She's never left tannery property. She knows where she's can and cannot be here. She was, in the courtyard where she was supposed to be. She came over here, and that was the last we saw of her on surveillance.
So where do you go? I mean, I just got to ask, how difficult is it knowing that you can't really do any? I mean, you're doing what you can, but...
I already fell apart. Now I'm just in survival mode. I can't explain how difficult this is. Nobody should have to go through this.
An extensive search was now underway, which included the involvement of the Santa Cruz Police Department, a Santa Cruz Sheriff's Office, search and rescue team, and a K-9 unit. But it was soon dark, and they hadn't found anything. By 11 a.m. the next day, 50 FBI officers were on the case, going door to door in the area and requesting everyone to look in their garages and check their bins, gardens, and sheds. By this point, the complex had already been searched top to bottom, and the hunt for Maddy was now spreading into the outer areas.
Good afternoon. We're glad you've joined us. We'll begin with the latest on the search for a missing 8-year-old Santa Cruz girl.
At a news conference earlier this morning, Santa Cruz police say they've expanded their 4.5 square mile search area for the missing 8-year-old girl and have called in the FBI, who have additional resources to help. Search crews in orange jackets are fanning out through a large area of Santa Cruz, hoping to find any sign of Maddy Middleton. The 8-year-old girl went missing Sunday afternoon. She was last seen by neighbors about 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon at the Tannery Art Center. Neighbors have joined in on the search.
Just a wonderful kid. We would have heard her. I don't get this. Nobody gets this. We would have heard. She was just right here, right here.
Parents heard about the missing child when they brought their children to a dance class at the Tannery Art Center.
I mean, it's tragic. I feel terrible. Like I was telling my son, I'm hoping that they're going to find her. We're sending positive, happy thoughts that she's going to come back happy and healthy.
Neighbors immediately began to help look for her and spent all night scouring the area with no luck.
We're all feeling a little helpless at this point. We've been checked all of the tents and homeless camps. A lot of us have been up all night. We've gone as far as Paradise Park.
Police say there's no evidence Maddy was forcibly abducted, so they are treating this as a missing persons case.
We're not calling this a kidnapping. We're still early on in our investigation. What we're calling it this is we're looking for a lost child.
Late this afternoon, police stopped vehicles entering the Tannery parking lot and looking for any information or signs of missing Maddy Middleton.
Just over a day after the search for Maddy had started, it came to a painful and abrupt end at 8 p.m. on July 27th. Her body was found in a bag inside a recycling bin in the first-floor garage of the apartment complex. And 9 p.m. on July 28th, the broken community came together for a vigil.
A lot of the people in town and all over have been walking around numb. You know, it's like, that's how I feel. I feel like I've been walking around numb.
I couldn't even imagine if it was somebody that I loved, somebody that I was close to.
Because of his age, the teenager's identity was protected. But all this changed when Santa Cruz County District Attorney Jeff Roselle issued a statement. He announced that they had sufficient evidence against him, and he would be charging the teen as an adult not only for murder, but also for kidnapping and sexual assault.
The law allows, under certain circumstances, with certain types of offenses, a determination as to whether or not you want to charge someone as an adult or whether or not they're charged as a juvenile. Based on the information that we know at this point, there do appear to be charges that can be filed as an adult, and we are absolutely considering that, and these are the type of charges and the type of offenses that are and can be charged as.
And with this, his name was released. The suspect in custody turned out to be Adrian Jerry Gonzalez, known as AJ, and he had lived in the apartment for the last 6 years with his mother. It was a bombshell for the neighbors, and the fact that he could have been involved left them shocked, not knowing any details. Everybody at first thought that this must have been an accident, and AJ had panicked and tried to cover it up. Everybody described him as likable and polite, often spending time outside with the other children, teaching them how to do yo-yo tricks and play the piano. He even works as a counselor for the younger children. Everyone loved and trusted him, and this was an unfathomable thing to process. We love this guy, all of us. If you ask us what you think of him, would tell you, he's an outstanding kid. A poster child? One neighbor said. But others argued his social media posts pointed to someone who was far more troubled than anyone had realized, with many of his posts having disturbing captions. It was also said that he had abused his dog years before, and one of his friends had urged him to seek help when he started threatening to jump off of buildings. What had initially drawn police to AJ that day was that he was watching them intently as they were searching the bins. And the second the officers realized that Maddy was in there, he started to run despite the fact he wouldn't have been able to even see what they had found. He had been helping in the searches and involving himself in the investigation from the beginning, asking everyone questions about what they knew and if anyone had heard anything, something that seemed innocuous. But when police questioned him after he ran away, they realized something was very wrong and he did have something to hide. They wouldn't go into detail about what he had said or what evidence they had uncovered in his apartment, which was likely due to his age and how much they were allowed to reveal. An examination of Maddy's body came in the following day, and it was determined that her mouth had been bound with type. She had been beaten and raped before being strangled and stabbed. It was such a monstrous crime, and what poor Maddy had gone through was horrendous. District Attorney Jeff Roselle said, "We are going to bring him to justice. He is looking at life in prison." He also said that he thought being charged and tried as an adult was the only appropriate course of action, and that AJ was a sexual deviant with no place in society. Judge Salazar agreed with Jeff Roselle and determined that AJ's trial should go through the adult court system instead of the juvenile one. He cited Prop 57, which was passed by voters and allowed judges to decide whether or not a teen should be tried as an adult. AJ entered a plea of not guilty despite his submissions, but his defense team were fighting hard to transfer his case back to juvenile court, using the controversial Senate Bill 1391, which had just come into effect. SB 1391 prohibits anyone 14 or 15 years old from being tried as an adult. They also said that the reasons behind why he did what he did stemmed from a tough home and school life and being socially awkward. But people that knew the Gonzalez family said that this was simply not true. His mother, Reggie, had left his father when the relationship had turned violent, and her children were her biggest priority. They said that AJ was showered with love and affection, and he came from a caring family that had done their best given the situations. They said that although Reggie had battled drug and alcohol issues, she was now clean and doing her best to repair any damage that had been done. The police and prosecutions that the numerous people have tougher upbringings than most, and this is not the outcome. They said that using his mother and his upbringing as some kind of justification for what he had done was heartbreaking. Thousands of people signed a petition to stop SB 1391 applying to AJ's case, but it was in vain when, after much deliberation and appeals by AJ's defense team, the Supreme Court ruled that his case should be transferred to a juvenile court.
Now to our top story tonight. The man accused in the brutal assault and killing of 8-year-old Maddy Middleton is back to being tried as a juvenile. California's Supreme Court rules to uphold a 2018 law preventing juveniles from being tried as adults if the crime happened when they were 14 or 15 years old. Adrian AJ Gonzalez was 15 when he allegedly sexually assaulted and killed Middleton at his mother's Santa Cruz apartment in 2015. For the last several years, Gonzalez has been in the adult system in custody at the Santa Cruz County Jail.
Absolutely disappointing, the words from the family of Maddy Middleton. Thursday morning, California's Supreme Court voted to uphold Senate Bill 1391 in the case of Ojai versus the Superior Court of Ventura County, which states 14 and 15-year-olds cannot be transferred to adult court.
We are extremely disappointed, and I've spoke to some of the family members, and they are absolutely devastated. Not a person, based on all the evidence we heard in 9 weeks from experts throughout the state, that is not somebody who's going to be safe to be released.
In juvenile hall, he responded very well to the programming, the services, the support, and the structure of the hall. Kids can get treatment and aren't just thrown away into an adult prison where they're going to learn very bad habits.
This was met with huge backlash, and the community were horrified that something so awful could happen to someone so vulnerable and be met with potentially just a few years in prison. Judge Salazar also expressed his feelings, saying that his hands were tied by the change in the law and that he had no choice. He said allowing all 14 and 15-year-olds accused of first-degree murder and other violent offenses to remain in the juvenile court is not promoting public safety because not all of them can be safely rehabilitated. Following this decision in April 2021, Adrian Jerry Gonzalez changed his plea.
Top story tonight, a major development in the murder case of 8-year-old Maddy Middleton. Today in court, the suspect, Adrian A.J. Gonzalez, pleaded guilty to all charges.
He finally pleaded guilty to 6 felony counts, including the kidnapping, rape, and murder of Maddy, more than 5 years prior. Before his sentencing, A.J. said he hoped that the family would forgive him one day. "I understand. There is very little I can say after all the pain and suffering I've caused. My goal is to work on my issues so no one else has to experience what you have endured. I'm aware that does not change the fact that I have brought you tragedy, loss, and devastation. I am hopeful that when I take the time to apologize that you may accept my apologies for the actions that I have done and what they have brought you," he said. Maddy's father, Michael, said he has accepted his daughter's loss and that he has forgiven AJ. That doesn't make anything easier. It just allows me peace. The alternative could be to hold to the darkness, but this would only consume my soul. I refuse to poison my soul and existence. Forgiveness is the only path, and I believe that Madison would agree, he gracefully said. Laura said her daughter's death left her suffering with depression, anxiety, and post-traumatic stress disorder, resulting in her being unable to work. Even his attorney expresses relief that this was all coming to an end, so that Maddy's family did not have to go through any more than what they already had in the adult court system. AJ was facing 126 years to life in prison, but the juvenile court system gave a very different sentence.
Good evening. Our top story tonight, people gathering outside the Santa Cruz County Courthouse earlier today protesting the sentencing. Under California law, Gonzalez must be sentenced here as a juvenile. Gonzalez was 15, almost 16 years old when he killed Maddy Middleton. Because of that, because he was a child at the time of the murder, he will be released in just 4 years when he turns 25.
Judge Salazar imposed the maximum sentence he possibly could given the circumstances. The law, as it stands now, determined that his maximum term of confinement ends when he turns 25. This will be in October 2024. There is no guarantee he'll be released in 2024. However, as the court can be petitioned to extend his time. Although District Attorney Jeff Friesel said, he sadly believes that might be. I think it's likely he will be out at 25. And I think it's an absolute travesty of justice, and I think it's unsafe for the community, he said.
The bottom line is, certain changes need to be made in juvenile justice, juvenile reform, of course. But one-size-fits-all legislation that takes no account at all for people like Adrian. We had experts who said they had never, ever seen anybody present like him, ever, in a 30-year career as a child psychologist. Never. Anybody who thinks that this person is going to be healthy and fixed and able to come out into society at the age of 25 is mistaken.
AJ must also register for life as a sex offender and pay $22,000 in restitution fees. Maddy's grandfather, Dan, said that the sentencing ignores all the evidence pointing towards him being a danger to society. He also predicts that SB 1391 will have dire consequences for future cases. An unlikely bond was formed between Laura and AJ's mom, Reggie, during the ordeal. Reggie was devastated that her son would do this, and neighbors would frequently see her crying at Maddy's memorial. Laura would often sit with her, hugging her, telling her she wasn't to blame. She said, "I just love her. And we both lost our children that day. That's the tragic truth. I don't fault her." More pain would soon come for the grieving family. Maddy's father carried her ashes around with him inside his car so that she could stay close to him. But the family were left devastated when someone broke into the car and stole them. They have, sadly, never been recovered. Maddy was from such a tight community who continue to honor her name and her memory through arts and creative works. She loved animals, but wolves, especially under wolves' sand sculpture, was made for her on a beach near her home. The Rio Theater put her name up outside, and paintings done by the artists that lived in the apartment were also put up everywhere. A celebration of life was also held where hundreds turned up, and the mayor, Don Lane, commemorated her life by declaring October 5, 2015 as Maddy Middleton Day, her birthday. The family also founded ISC Maddy Chilled, Angel of Santa Cruz. Their motto is, "Before you go, let someone know." The aim is to educate children and parents about safety and protection. Tenary Art Center apartment complex has never been the same since and probably never will be. The little community everyone had worked so hard to form once so close and safe has been changed forever. Laura said that Maddy was the light and love of her life and brought so much joy to so many people. She was growing up beautifully bright, perky, fun, and generous of heart. She was the best thing I ever made. Thank you for watching. To the end, kindly like this video and subscribe to the channel for more. See you in our next video. Bye.